right, welcome back to Sunday school this morning. And today we're going to continue with our story of the Israelites who've been traveling across the desert. And they're going to have something special that they need to work on this week. And what kinds of work do you think of that people do? What about if I make a motion, you guess what I'm doing? Sawing? I'm sawing. What about hammering? Can you guess that? Okay, one more. Sewing. That's right. They're sewing. So the people are going to have to do all of these things today and use their gifts and talents that God has given them to build something special for God. So remember, Moses went up on Mount Sinai, and he was there for 40 days, and he got the law written on the tablets that God wanted the people to obey. But while he was up there, God also told Moses something else. He told Moses how to build a special tabernacle. This tabernacle is like a tent. It's like a special tent, sort of like our sanctuary. But if our sanctuary was able to be packed up and moved to somewhere else. Because these people, remember, were traveling across the desert. They're on the way to the promised land. And they need a place to worship, but they need a place that they can take with them. So it's kind of like a church on wheels, but not really on wheels. A church on donkeys, I guess. An RV for church. That sounds pretty awesome. And they can take it with them. So God gave them special instructions that they need to follow because this is going to be God's house, and it's important that they build it the way that God wants them to do it. So he gave them some special instructions, and he wanted them to use all of those things that they brought out of Egypt with them. Remember when they left Egypt after the last plague, and the Egyptians were basically kicking them out, and they said, take all of this stuff, we're giving you some gold and some silver, and take that stuff with you. And so they had all this special stuff that they brought with them, and God is now going to give them a chance to use that. So let's see what it says in Exodus 25, verse 2. Tell the people of Israel to bring me an offering. You must receive the offering for me from everyone whose heart moves them to give. So God wants the people to give willingly. He wants them to glorify him by giving back those things that the Egyptians had given to them. And they're going to need lots of special things. When you think about building a church or building a house of God, what kind of special things would you use? I can think of some special things, but they needed some wood, but it had to be special wood. There was a special kind of wood. They needed some stones, and they had to be special kind also. Gold, because gold is special, right? They need some gold. They also needed certain kinds of animal skin and special oils and some special fabrics. They especially needed blue, I know these aren't real curtains, but it's blue, and red fabric, and purple fabric. And those are going to be the special colors for God's tabernacle. So the people brought all of their gifts to Moses, and let's look at verse 35, or chapter 35, verse 21. Everyone who wanted to give offerings to the Lord brought them to him. The offerings were for the work of the tent of meeting. They were also for the sacred clothes and for other purposes at the tent, at the tabernacle. So they brought all their special offerings. And God told them that there was two special men that God had called and had given special gifts so that they would be able to make all of the things that were needed in the tabernacle. And their names were Bezalel and Ohololab, or something like that. And these two men then gathered the other people and they trained them as how to do all of the special things that God needed them to do for the tabernacle. And they started making the cloth. They had to get all the special dyes to get the red and blue and purple cloth. They started making the wood. They were sawing and hammering and sewing and doing all the special things they needed to do. And then they had a problem. Now, what do you think the problem could be? It tells us in chapter 36, verse 4 through 5, all the skilled workers were working on the holy tent, but they stopped what they were doing. They said to Moses, "The Lord commanded us to do the work, and the people are bringing more than enough for us to do it." That was their problem. They had too much. The people kept giving and gave them so much, they had to tell the people, "Stop, that's enough." And that's a good problem to have. And then God told them to set up the tent. Finally, when all of the work was done, and Moses had checked it, and it was all done the right way, and God told them on the first day of the month, set up the tabernacle. And this is the way they had to do it. And they had to hang the curtains inside the tent, the blue and red and purple, just kind of like we have curtains hanging up back here as well. So imagine they had red and blue and purple curtains hanging in their big outdoor tent that they can pack up and take with them. And they had all the special furniture. They had the special altar, and they anointed it with the special oil and made all the special things inside the tabernacle that they needed. And when it was all set and all ready, the cloud that had been following them settled on top of the tabernacle and covered it. And this is how they knew that God was with them. Because remember, that cloud had been following, that pillar of cloud and the pillar of fire at night had been following them. And now the cloud covered the tabernacle, which was God's house, and represented God's presence with them. And so from now on, whenever they're traveling in the desert, whenever that cloud lifts off of the tabernacle and starts to go, then they know it's time to pack up and follow the cloud. The cloud is going to lead them because it's God's presence. So this is a story about how the Israelites used all of their gifts and talents to glorify God and to build his house. And God still wants us to do that today. I hope you will use whatever your gifts and talents are to help glorify God and to do the work that he wants you to do. All right, so we will continue with our story next week. Have a good day.